All right, here we go. Round two, everybody. Welcome back to On the Ropes with Travis Lee. I am your host, Travis Lee. To my left, once again, is co-host and fellow Sports Talk member Michael Peters over here. How you doing? How you doing, Michael? You had a crazy week. We had to postpone recording this episode because you had some septic tank issues. Hopefully that shit all got worked out. No pun intended.
Oh yeah, shit's good now. Can't complain.
So obviously we gotta start this off with mentioning rest in peace, Mean Gene. I think we gotta at least get that out there. He's the voice of a hardcore generation, and there's not gonna be many people who can replace him.
He's irreplaceable, man. You know what? I'll tell you something, Travis Lee. Mean Gene Okerlund had some of the greatest interviews before and after matches of all time.
He's not a dude you can easily replace, and he's definitely a guy that is going to be missed for sure. That being said, too, let's just briefly cover the recent announcement of AEW, because that's happened since we recorded before we hop into our full Rumble episode here. We have a pretty solid list of wrestlers so far. Obviously, you have the huge name signings that we all knew was coming in, all of the elite guys. We know Kenny Omega's coming soon. We had the surprise. We had the surprise of Jericho. No one realized that was going to happen. And then you got guys like Neville as Pac now, going back to Pac. Neville's back is now in AEW.
I absolutely love the fact that we get Neville, and we're probably going to get, instead of a cruiserweight push, we're going to actually get the real heavyweight championship push from a guy that's super talented and deserves it. He should have never been on 205 Live. I mean, it was a little insulting.
What they did to him with fucking...
Oh, having him job to Enzo Amore?
That was bad.
I mean, those two should literally wrestle in All Elite. If anybody in the company's listening to this pod, they should literally have Enzo Amore defend that belt that he never gave back to Vince McMahon.
Right.
Against Neville, and have Neville take it, and then make a joke out of it, because that would be brilliant.
I think you are going to see AEW do like what New Japan has done. Instead of doing like a cruiserweight division, they're going to do like the junior heavyweight division, like kind of like how with the whole Marty Scurll thing, everyone cheers, real heavyweight at him because they kept trying to put him in the junior heavyweight for so long, and he was trying to get out. So it's... we wanted to gloss over that and make sure we mentioned it. There's still a lot of details to be ironed out. We know that there are multiple shows scheduled for this year. Obviously, the first one not happening till May. There are the rumors that they are coming back to Chicago to do All In 2.
It would probably be the 1st of September.
They're going to do it on the year anniversary. So it would be the same weekend as the year anniversary.
Labor Day weekend. I mean, I'm excited for it. I really hope it happens. I can't wait to go back. All In was a phenomenal event, and
I wish I didn't have to work that night, so I could have gone.
Oh, it was one of the best. It was pouring rain too, so there were so many different things about it that whole night that were just. It was like, all right, this could be a disaster for a lot of people, and it just turned out perfect.
Yep, and it's definitely a thing we're going to keep our eyes on, and hopefully, and as we have done already on the podcast page, we've posted when people have signed, we've posted when people are leaving WWE and when are they going, so if anything crazy happens, we'll obviously update that there too. So that being said, let's hop into
the best
full
match
episode.
Every single year, the match that everybody looks forward to. It's the road to WrestleMania, and once it happens, you know who's headlining that event, and you know that there's a very slim chance when this happens that there's going to be somebody who's going to drop their belt. So if Daniel Bryan retains and it's a SmackDown guy that wins, you can bet your dollars that if you go to WrestleMania, you're going to see Daniel Bryan face this person.
Let's start off with an easy segment, man, because I feel like everybody likes to do this part. So let's start off first on who you think is going to win Male Rumble. Who you got this year?
I'm wearing his shirt right now. I'm a little biased because I just think that it's the right time. Ric Flair, after that health scare about a year and a half ago, maybe a little less than that, I've just been kind of wondering when this moment was going to finally happen. And it's WrestleMania, it's 35. You don't know what's going to happen in 5 years from now. You don't know if he's going to be too big of a star in everything else for him to do it then. I think the man the doctor of thugonomics, John Cena, is going to win the Royal Rumble this year. I think he challenges Daniel Bryan, and I think it's going to be a classic.
I'm actually going to agree with you on the winner being John Cena because you've convinced me of that easily over the past few days. I kind of hope that they don't use the Daniel Bryan storyline with Cena. I hope they do something different with him. If they're going to have him beat Flair's record at WrestleMania, I'd rather it be somebody else than Bryan. I'm okay with it being Bryan. But personally, I would just like to see Cena against somebody else. I want to see him up against some of the newer talent. I don't want to see him up against somebody like Daniel Bryan because we were talking about earlier. The McMahons are trying to usher in this new era, and I'm kind of done with some of these nostalgia matches. And I just feel Cena and Bryan would kind of just be like a nostalgia thing. And we all know Cena and Bryan put on great matches no matter what, and it would be a great match. I just don't want us falling into that nostalgia factor. You know what I mean?
This one, for that reason, the reason why I don't see a nostalgia factor with it is I truly believe if John Cena takes that belt from Daniel Bryan, the person he's going to drop it to is going to be the person that's in NXT right now that they look at as the future of the company. I can't tell you if it's going to be Johnny Gargano. Can't tell you if it's going to be Tommaso Ciampa. I can't tell you it's Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, or even Aleister Black. But I think one of those 5 men would be the person that John Cena would drop that belt to, and it would be the changing of the guard. Because, I mean, NXT right now, we have 5 wrestlers that could be the star of the whole business.
If you have Cena drop it to anybody, it has with how much he's endorsed Velveteen. I think the only way you make it good if it's to an NXT superstar that gets called up is you have Cena somehow drop it to Velveteen.
I could see Gargano as well.
That's a whole nother convo. Women-wise, I'm gonna pick the same person that I picked for last time for the same reason, and I'm hoping to God that we don't see a Ronda, Charlotte, Becky triple threat at Mania. I would rather just see a Becky Ronda, and I'm hoping that what happens is Rousey comes out, messes up Becky's shot at beating Asuka. Becky, being the man, comes into the Rumble at 29 because she can't be 30 because it's Carmella. We all know that. And pulls double duty because she's the man and she's pissed off and she switches to Raw from that. That's what I'm hoping to see happen. I think that would be a good thing. It would actually make Ronda a little bit better of a wrestler when you put her in the ring with somebody as talented and as gifted and as draw factor as Becky Lynch is to the fans. And I think that's my personal best outcome when it comes to women for me. How do you feel about who's winning women?
I think for the women's, it has to either be I do think Becky Lynch is the probable winner. The only wrench in that plan I can honestly see is what if instead of her interfering with Becky's match, Becky and those 4 horsewomen interfere with her match, because all the 4 horsewomen of both of the brands, of NXT and of, UFC, are all going to be there that weekend because it's TakeOver the night before. So there's a chance that Ronda comes out with Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir.
She'll at least be front row.
Those ones will all be there watching that Rousey match. They could interfere, and then the 4 horsewomen of NXT could also interfere and basically even the odds. And if Sasha Banks can somehow win that match, which I really hope she does, and I'll tell you in a second why, then I could really see Ronda Rousey being the one to win the Rumble. I could see Vince wanting her to be the one that wins the Rumble too. So she could have been the 29th entry and she could just clear house.
We'll see how that goes because we both feel the same. We both feel the same about Ronda. So
we don't. Yes, we both feel like she needs a lot of work. Luckily, right now with Ronda Rousey, she's going to be in the ring with somebody that's going to help her grow exponentially in Sasha Banks. Hopefully on the house tour afterwards, those two keep facing each other.
Right.
She keeps getting the experience every night from one of the horsewomen because that is what she's been missing, is she has
Agreed.
not wrestled. She's wrestled people like, Nia Jax, who's just really big, and you want to see her judo throw her.
Right.
And then you also have seen her fight Alexa Bliss a lot, which Alexa Bliss, love her, one of my favorite superstars in all of wrestling, may be the best promo woman out
she is
there.
solid.
Besides with what the heat that Becky Lynch has given us right now. Overall, I think Alexa is just perfect on the mic, perfect with her character. You really haven't seen Ronda face anybody. So
That's true. So
I could see Sasha taking it with the whole horsewomen storyline. And then it also makes the interesting matchup that at WrestleMania, if you do that, you could finally pull the trigger on the Bayley heel turn, and we could really see Sasha and Bayley, and then Ronda versus Becky, or the triple threat match, where you could have both women's main events, all 4 horsewomen being them, which would be something very special, because the only reason why this is going to be possible this year, that women might actually headline WrestleMania, is because of Becky Lynch, it's because of Charlotte Flair, it's because of Sasha Banks, and it's damn well because of Bayley putting on those matches with Sasha.
I just think at the end of the day, man, we're kind of, and it's sad to say, but they're going to keep the whole boss hug connection thing until they're going to make them the inaugural women's tag team champions. But we can discuss that for hours, so let's keep moving on, because we will get stuck on that tangent, because that is just a whole another ball game.
All right, let's touch base on one other thing, because of the men's rumble. We both have the same pick. Who's your dark horse? If you don't, because we obviously both think it could be Cena.
Dark horse. Dark horse. That's a good one. That's actually a really good question. I haven't thought about it much. I think for me, a good dark horse.
It can't be like the probable, because I mean, we both talked about it, and we both think there's a really good chance that Seth Rollins does win it.
I think Ali's your dark horse, man. I think Mustafa Ali has come to the main roster and killed it every single week. He was one of the only good parts of the show that we all went to when SmackDown was here. Ali is very over right now. He's getting endorsements from guys like Cena and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is a good reason. He helped as much as
Daniel Bryan's played the heel.
Bryan won't admit that he helped get Ali on the roster, but he wanted to wrestle Ali. So I could see Ali being a dark horse. Do I think I think you're going to see him last pretty long in the Rumble?
I would agree with you that I think he does last pretty long in the Rumble. I think he at least has 20 minutes. I think it'd be kind of shocking if they don't fill a lot of the time of the Rumble with Mustafa Ali. He's really likable. I mean, we're a little even more biased because he is local too.
Right.
But he's likable. His character is cool. And everything that he's kind of doing is just great right now. Like, we're seeing great wrestling. Yeah. Which is something we've been missing for a while in WWE. My dark horse, for my dark horse, real quick, I think Andrade. And the reason why is they are pushing him, and it wouldn't be as much of a shock to me, like if we see somebody like Samoa Joe win it. I could definitely see Andrade winning this match. And I really think what would be so much fun about it is the fact that you would have him face Daniel Bryan, which we've seen him face Daniel Bryan, and we saw a great match on SmackDown earlier this year. It wasn't very long because you had the interference from Zelina Vega, but we actually did see a legitimately fun match out of those two. And I think we both think that up until Mania, Daniel Bryan's definitely holding that belt.
I don't see it coming off of him anytime
Mania's
soon.
the soonest. If not Mania, then it would be at SummerSlam.
So
it's not going to be at a minor pay-per-view because it is Daniel Bryan.
So next category, let's hit next topic, man. Surprise entrance, one of my favorite categories, and as you know, I'm definitely going to be a little biased in the surprise entrance category. I am going to give an honorable mention to Adam Cole, baby, because I don't
even think he would be a surprise entrant at this point.
That's why I said honorable mention, because he did the whole match with Aleister Black the night before and came back the very next night after doing the street fight with Aleister Black to be a part of the Rumble. That's why I said it was a honorable mention, because, you know, it's not a surprise that everyone knows WWE is going to throw some NXT guys in there. So that's why I did it as honorable mention.
I don't even think he's on the card for NXT TakeOver either.
He's not.
So he definitely could be a guy that we're going to see.
This year, I'm saying, and then the favorite surprise entry of all time for me was, I was always a huge Styles fan, so I'm being biased of it being AJ Styles. At the time that AJ came into WWE, I was kind of taking a break from wrestling because I was kind of frustrated with how wrestling had been going at that time. So watching the Rumble and seeing him, hearing that music hit and seeing the sparkles hit the Jumbotron, I was like, there's no fucking way. And I know a lot of people knew he was coming to WWE at that point, but like I said, I really just wasn't.
We didn't think he was coming that night, which was why it was so cool. And he lasted from the third entrant till...
He was final 6, final 8, something like that?
Yeah, he was in the ring when the 30th man came out there.
Right.
And it was for the WWE Championship, and it gave you
That's
all this
right.
hope, like,
That's right, it
could,
was.
could AJ Styles really, in his first match, he doesn't even have to pin anybody to become WWE Champion. That would be some kind of freak record.
That would be crazy.
And it would have been crazy. And I mean, that match ended up crazy. I mean, every single person, I think, did know that the 30th entrant had to be Triple H.
Yeah, we won't get into that one. Who is your favorite surprise entry of all time, man?
I think I'm going to go, because I won't pick my favorite winner to be the same. 2008, John Cena. And it was because I thought there was no way he was going to be there. I didn't even know if he was going to be able to make it for WrestleMania with the things we were hearing about his injuries at the time. The internet age and the rumor department wasn't as wild back then as it is now. So when I saw that happen, I didn't believe it was really happening. When I heard that music hit, I mean, I felt like a little kid.
That's how I felt for Styles too, man, because I grew up all my friends were watching WWE, and I was at the time also. I was back then. That was when TNA was first really big, and I was trying to tell all my buddies, like, you got to be watching this. Like, Abyss is over here right now. You had Sting over in TNA at the time, and you had people like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe in Impact doing phenomenal work in Impact at that time as well, and so. I feel you on that nostalgia kicked in, that little kid inside me of like, hell yeah, he's finally here, he's finally going to get a shot, and let's just not screw this up somehow. That being said, my favorite Rumble card of all time is also the one where AJ Styles lost, ironically, the title to Cena. Because the matches that were on that, I wasn't a fan, and I'm going to throw a surprise in there, because my worst winner, when we hit that category here in a minute, I've told him that's my favorite Rumble, one of my favorite Rumble cards ever, but at the same time, it was also the worst Rumble winner for me in having Randy Orton win the Rumble that year. So,
for the timing, it didn't make sense, but I mean, Randy Orton is a guy that you want to see.
There was just so many other people who could have won that year that would have made better sense and would
there
have
were
worked
better
out better
storylines to be written than having
than Randy and Bray.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it just wasn't. It wasn't even a match that people really got excited for. If you were
Not
at that
all.
WrestleMania, you would have seen it. It just, the crowd didn't care for that match. They weren't invested. They weren't.
And then when you waste somebody like Bray, and you were there with us when we watched it together, when Bray Wyatt is going into the corner doing his creepy upside down thing. I love when he does that. But when you took him at WrestleMania and started throwing like random videos of grubs on the ring, you know how like they were doing when he was doing it. I was like, what? This is unnecessary. Like, I love that when Bray does that thing, but I don't need to see him do it 4 or 5 times and see insects and roaches and grubs or whatever, because that added nothing to the match. If it had done something that added something to the match, then I would have been fine with it. But there was.
It would have been cooler for their rematch in the House of Horrors
match. It felt like an unnecessary filler to that match, when we all know Randy and Bray could have put on a phenomenal performance.
Oh, for being a big man, Bray Wyatt puts on awesome matches.
We're definitely getting off topic here. Let's get back to Rumble. So.
It's really hard to, because the Rumble is always such a fun weekend.
Right,
man.
and there's always so much you hope to see. So let's hit to you. What is your favorite Rumble card of all time?
Let's see. I would probably go with Stone Cold's first win.
It's a good one.
It wasn't the first time we saw Kane, but it was the time that we saw The Undertaker get locked in the casket by Kane when he faced Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. And then that casket got lit on fire, and we didn't see Undertaker. Was it WrestleMania we saw him? Or was it much later? It might have even been SummerSlam.
It was good. It was at least a year. It was good. It almost felt like it was a year when we hit how long that went, because everyone was wondering how long they were going to play that angle. It just felt so long. And yeah, that was definitely a good card. Stone Cold's win was probably a really, really...
It was an important win
that Rumble in general was a solid... The actual Rumble match itself was a good one that year, too.
Yeah, wasn't that... That was the year where Stone Cold actually... where he got beat up in the back. Mm-hmm. And then they had the no entry spot. And then you were wondering what the hell is going on. And then later in the match, Stone Cold actually comes out there and he just kind of clears house. And
yeah, that was nuts. So I kind of jumped the gun on this category because my worst winner for me was also in my favorite card, which is kind of ironic. But so for you, what was worst winner for you?
Oh, that is
saw?
the easiest question. I didn't even think when we were going over this topic, when we were texting back and forth, I didn't even have to think. It was Alberto Del Rio. There was something off about him as a character and in the ring. I just did not like him whatsoever.
I also hate that he's in the record books for winning the biggest Royal Rumble ever, too, because that was the first time they went over 30 people was when he won.
And he was entered after 30, he was either 30 or he was entered later than that.
I can't remember what number he was, but I mean, like you said, we've talked about this
And I just
back and forth all the time. It's just Del Rio is such not only a crappy human being. I really wasn't a fan of his wrestling style, and I know Vince wanted him to be the next Rey Mysterio type Hispanic Mexican descent wrestler, but I just didn't enjoy watching Del Rio wrestle.
I think his gimmick, he was this rich guy and he was this big flashy douchebag, basically. I mean, him probably as a person's much different than his character, but I did not like that character whatsoever. There was nothing they could do with Del Rio to save him. That was probably even my favorite cash-in when Dolph Ziggler took the belt off of him, because it was like
finally too.
it was like a finally Dolph Ziggler's we finally got it.
Yeah, that was Del Rio winning the Rumble was definitely Vince trying to push. It's just like Vince when we talked about how everybody hated, like Roman's not a terrible wrestler, but we hated how it was shoved down our throats. That's how Del Rio felt, was we were forced to like this guy because he's got to be the next Raven. He's what Vince is saying is the next Mysterio and stuff like that. So yeah, that was definitely, that was not. I don't think anybody was really too happy when he won either. I know for me, the moment he won, I didn't even wait to watch the celebration. The moment he threw the last guy over the top rope, I just went off. It was
terrible.
There was no point of watching his celebration. There was no point of him doing what everybody does and standing in the ring pointing to the WrestleMania logo sign at the top of the fucking arena. I don't need to see him talk or say, "Oh, I'm facing this person," because I really couldn't have cared less at that point.
I don't think anybody cared when Del Rio won it. As far as like the fans, nobody really bought into him the way Vince did.
Right.
We did not. He was not like.
And then you also see what he did outside of WWE in Impact and stuff like that, of no showing title, like he was supposed to be the main event title shot dude, and he no showed stuff. So there's many reasons that was an all around really, really bad idea of a winner. And I don't think anybody really will argue with you that the fact that if it's not the worst winner of all time, he's definitely top 2, at least.
Yeah, it's hard to give it to him.
That being said, let's go to a more fun topic, and I think really it's the best save topic, but really we should just rename the category. What's your favorite Kofi Kingston save?
Yeah. There's been so many with Kofi Kingston. They're always, you know what's going to happen every single year, but you're still like a kid in a candy store waiting to see what's Kofi going to do this year.
I'm actually going to throw a surprise one at you. My favorite save was Naomi with the rolly chair last year.
That definitely was fun too. It was shades of Kofi Kingston, though. We can both say.
Because we were wondering. I know at least I was, when the Rumble started for the women last year. Which, by the way, the women outperformed the men easily in their Rumble.
Besides the Final Four.
The only part that made it bad was Stephanie on commentary. God, that was terrible. But
there was one little thing that she did on the commentary that almost made up for the whole hour of crap, and that was mentioning China.
Yeah.
I never thought that she would ever give any credit to her, because, I mean, besides the horsewomen, China's pretty much the reason why a lot of men from an early age, and ones that are adults now, we were kids and we used to watch China beat the shit out of Chris Jericho. And it used to be fun. We watched her have cool matches with Eddie Guerrero before their little storyline.
Yeah, so I was just happy to see that they had somebody do something like Kofi does in the men's Rumble. I like that they had somebody do that in the women's Rumble.
If I wasn't going to go with Kofi Kingston for favorite save, I would say it's the save that changed the whole Rumble. The one time Shawn Michaels had one foot hit the ground, and then the referee ruled that both feet didn't hit the ground.
Yeah.
And now they repetitively say that in every single Rumble match. Both feet have to hit the ground.
Yep, that was a good. That was the.
Was that 93? It wasn't a year Shawn Michaels won it.
I don't think so either. I can't remember
I
when
think
that
it was the year after Flair won it, so it had to be 93? I don't think it wasn't
maybe.
the year Flair won it for the vacant title.
Cool. All right. So I think we've come to the end of our favorite and worst and crazy save moments, and it's time to eventually to go over the actual card here for both the Rumble and Takeover for that weekend. But I'm actually going to hijack the pod right now, and we're going to introduce our new segment called "Don't Fuck It Up, Vince."
Don't fuck it up, Vince.
This is a moment where we're both gonna choose things that are going on that we don't want Vince to fuck up, and if you agree, you can please let us know. If you have something that you feel you don't want him to fuck up, please let us know as well. I am gonna go with right now Mustafa Ali. Don't fuck that one up. With how good he is, with how over he is, and how much you can really build around the dude if you want, like when Daniel Bryan, you wouldn't build around him. Just don't fuck up Mustafa Ali. Please don't.
That's a really good one. I'm going to think really long and hard about this. No, actually, I have got the right person that he really needs to fucking give a push to. And it was my dark horse. Ironically, just like yours. Andrade. You changed his name. Got rid of the 100 Souls gimmick in his name. Mm-hmm. It's time to push him. I would even say get rid of Zelina Vega if you have to for his gimmick. You can use her with somebody else. We saw him do an interview after that match before the match with Mysterio on Tuesday, and he spoke English finally. I really think he's the right size. It's not Rey Mysterio where it's really hard to push. He's like 5'9", 5'10". I really think that's a guy that I hope this year we see as the WWE champion. Don't fuck it up, Vince.
All right, guys, so those are our moments. I'm sure you have other ones that you could agree with, and I'm sure we have ones that you agree with that we can obviously spend hours talking about this segment, but that is going to be the end of the Don't Fuck It Up, Vince segment. And please let us know what you think about what's going on that part-wise of WWE.
Hijacking, side note on that. This is going to be a weekly thing until you stop fucking it up, Vince.
I can accept that, and we can end that segment on that note. So, NXT Takeover card, man, for Phoenix. It's pretty solidly stacked card, man. And we were talking about this earlier. I think with the fact that you have the Ciampa Black match, you have the Gargano Ricochet match, you even have the...
That's the match that I have got circled for that weekend, so it'll be next weekend.
Right.
I have that match circled as match of the weekend.
I mean, then you also have the Undisputed Era and
War Raiders, finally. That's another one.
So I'm sad to say it, and I said this to you earlier, even though matches like Baszler and Bianca Belair are going to be great, and so are Riddle and Ono, because Riddle and Hero are always... Sorry, I'm going to call him Hero on this one, guys. Don't really care what you think, Vince. Chris Hero in the Indies has always put on great matches, and the fact that you still have him as Cassius Ono being the jobbing veteran, I'm sorry, like, I'm really tired of the Cassius Ono, jobbing veteran gimmick, because Cassius Ono deserves way more than what they're putting him at right now. And that's the thing we're going to see at TakeOver, in my opinion, too, is because we have such a stacked card, even though Ono and Riddle's going to be great, Bianca and Shayna's going to be great, there's just too many other stacked matches on that card that those guys are going to, like we were saying, those guys are going to get like 30, 40, possibly 30, 40 minute long matches, to where people like Ono and Riddle might get dropped to only like 10 to 12 to 15 minutes. Granted, the card is going to be stellar. The fact that I think this is one of the bigger TakeOver cards we've seen. I think there's 7 matches on it right now or something like that. There's a good number of matches on it. Let me look that up and make sure, because I read something about how the number of matches on the card.
I know that the title matches in that one are the ones that really pop off to me off the top of my head. I don't know if they have programs for everybody.
5th match, sorry.
5th match. So what are the which one do you want to go to next?
I think we definitely need to skate over the Belair Shayna really quick. I don't think we really need to talk about that one too much because there's gonna be one of two things happening here. Baszler loses and Bianca continues her dominance, or we finally see Belair lose and Shayna continues her dominance. But I don't think you see Belair lose to Shayna without the interference of Duke and Shafir. I don't think if they're gonna have Belair lose on this card, it's not gonna be clean.
No, I think the way that you have it set up is Belair probably isn't going to the main roster in 2019.
Probably
it would
not.
be a shock if Shayna Baszler is not part of the shakeup. So it would make a lot more sense to have this match end dirty and Bianca to end up looking a lot stronger. That's my prediction for this match. She's going to end up looking like she just got screwed out of a big win.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see them having a rematch Mania weekend with the opposite result. I'm picking Shayna for this takeover.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, I really feel like those are the only two ways you can end that match.
What's your gut telling you?
I'm feeling like they want this Four Horsemen thing really bad, and I could see if you somehow don't have Sasha and Bayley win the women's tag titles, I can really see them right after Mania or even on the lead up to Mania, especially if they do the triple threat thing for Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda. I think you would easily see them bring up all three of them instantly in the road to WrestleMania to try to have them in her corner because, you know, she's taking on the other, you know, half of the other four horsewomen, you know what I mean? So I can see it going both ways. I'm okay with it going both ways. Just make sure it's one of those two things, you know. Don't try to do something weird of having somebody weird interfere in the match. Like, the only way that would work because there's like Bianca Belair has no friends. She's her own. She's the EST. She's undefeated. She doesn't care about anybody else.
She's the strongest. She's the fastest.
Right. She doesn't need anybody in her corner. So I don't want to see like Belair get a win because somebody came in and interfered on her behalf because that's not Belair. You
don't want to see like with the Kairi Sane that ending where Dakota Kai and Io Shirai came out and even the odds.
Right.
We're not going to see that this time. I don't think.
I
think we're going to see a dirty win by Shayna Baszler.
I think we can both agree that no matter how the Ricochet Ciampa match or the Ricochet Gargano and then Black Ciampa match ends, both those matches are going to be phenomenal, and I just don't know why they're having Ricochet drop the North. I feel they're.
We already feel it has to come.
We know with how things are going with Gargano right now, like you kind of got a legitimate Gargano, and he's always been legitimate, and you've never really given him the time of day, kind of, and he's finally getting this push. He's finally almost like this Stone Cold version.
Johnny Badass.
He's the NXT version of Stone Cold at this point, as we saw when Black attacked Ciampa a few weeks ago, and Gargano, after he was done watching it, shrugs his shoulders and super kicked the shit out of Ricochet. So you're gonna see, you know it's coming. I'm a little upset and frustrated that you have Ricochet dropping the belt so quickly, but I understand it, so it's okay.
I mean, he's had it since what? SummerSlam weekend? I mean, Adam Cole only had it for about 3 months. He's had it for about 6 or 7. So it's been a while. It's been quite a while that he's had that belt. He's had it. He's the longest reigning because Adam Cole had it.
Was it? Because I thought Adam Cole had it for a lot longer than that.
Adam Cole won it the night before WrestleMania, and then the night before SummerSlam, Ricochet took it off of him.
Huh? I really thought he had it longer than that.
No, Adam Cole. It was not a very long reign. It was a fun reign.
Yeah, he won it in. Let's see.
He won it in April.
He won it in March. March 7th is when when he won. He dropped it to. Actually, the reigns were similar. Cole was 133 days. Ricochet's at 152 right now. So the reigns were pretty close.
It's about 4 or 5 months.
I guess it's not as short as it's felt a lot shorter. Like with how good NXT is, it feels like the product they're putting on is like time has slowed down. So when I'm looking at like Ricochet and saying that, I feel like it feels like he's had the belt shorter because just how good of product they're putting on. And then, as we know, I would love to see Black, because I'm obviously I'm biased on that. I'd love to see Black beat Ciampa. I'm a huge Black fan. I have the dude's song as my phone ringtone, and it's on one of my Spotify playlists. I'm definitely biased on that. But at the same time, Ciampa still being champion is not, as much as some people don't like him because of his heel character and stuff like that, you cannot deny how good he is on the mic and how good he is in the ring. It's not often you see a guy like Ciampa who's played into this heel character so well, and then now still being the heel character is also playing to the NXT universe, and even getting in Gargano's hand, playing this like snake role almost now, and
absolutely,
and getting because it was because of Ciampa that they started chanting Johnny Badass when Ciampa came down the ring, going, "I love when you go from Johnny Gargano in the back to out here in the ring as Johnny Badass." Like,
it's been perfect, man.
You can't deny how good
what
Ciampa
Tommaso
is.
Ciampa did last year was incredible. He came back in the ultimate heel way and ended Johnny Gargano's NXT career, only to put on two of the best matches of the year against Johnny Gargano. Then Johnny Gargano interferes and accidentally gives him the championship against Aleister Black.
Right.
Then they put on that great last man standing match, SummerSlam weekend. I thought that match was fantastic.
The NXT card's definitely going to be good.
And then his match with Velveteen Dream was really good. Now he's going to fight
Ciampa again.
Yeah, now he's going to fight Black again. I think that's going to be great. And what Tommaso Ciampa's done, he has literally made the gold brand's belt, the gold belt of wrestling.
I mean, when Toni Storm won the NXT UK Women's Champion and she was celebrating in the crowd wasn't chanting the title name, they were chanting Goldie. Like, yes. I don't know if you watched that, like all the guys that are behind her are tapping the belt, just chanting Goldie, Goldie the whole time. And it's
that's
like,
what Ciampa started calling the NXT Championship belt.
Right, and so
what
he's done something different.
I mean, even when he won the belt, he had no walkout music. So he just walked out holding the belt to boos.
Right,
it was one of the most incredibly well thought things I've ever seen. And I love everything that Ciampa's doing. I don't think there's any chance he's going to drop it this weekend. Right. I think him and Gargano are going to both hold those championships up until their call-up, which I do think will be the Superstar Shakeup after Mania. I think the only reason why they weren't picked in those NXT call-ups was because we have to get those two to be back on the same page, and they weren't done telling that story. Right. Because those two are the story of NXT right now, is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. That is the story. We want to see DIY back. We want to see them take over the main roster. We want to see them maybe not win the tag team belts, but we definitely want to see them steal some championships. Right. Come and take over. Invade if you have to. Right.
So that being said, man, we're getting towards the end here. We've covered.
What was the other match that we were missing on that card?
We kind of didn't talk about the
Undisputed. The Riddle match.
The Undisputed and the War Raiders is the one we skipped over.
I think the War Raiders win it.
I think you've given the belt to you. As much as I love the Undisputed era, I love Bobby Fish, I love Roderick Strong, I like Kyle O'Reilly a lot. I love the way they do their style. But you've left the belts on them too long.
My absolute favorite thing about Kyle O'Reilly is when he walks out and he plays that championship like an air guitar. And what I love so much about it is, this is a guy that really loves wrestling. That's something that he thought of doing or he did with a toy championship belt as a kid.
Right. So we're coming to the end. Let's wrap it up here. I'm gonna throw one more category at you that I thought of while we were talking about the NXT card. Who would you like to see, both male and female, be the super surprise? Who would you flip shit for if you heard their music and saw them walk out to the Rumble?
Johnny Gargano. But
we all know he's not gonna. We all know he's not gonna be main roster after that. I'm talking about who is a guy that is AJ Styles level talent, who you might see, who you would go crazy for if they walked into that Rumble.
He doesn't have a program for it, so it could technically happen. Velveteen Dream comes to mind. If you're saying that they're not going to have a program for, obviously mine, being very biased, is Johnny Badass is probably my favorite wrestler. It's really hard to not say that if Gargano's music hits, I'm not going to feel like I'm 14 years old again. And I'm going to have that hope that maybe they're going to do this. Maybe he doesn't win the championship belt on Saturday. Then, I mean, hope will be at all-time high. It'll be at full of 100 if Johnny Gargano doesn't have an NXT belt, and he's one of the final four.
I think the one you could, and I know it's not going to happen because she's holding titles in certain places right now in the Indies. But I think even if they'd only sign her for a one-off, people would flip out if Tessa Blanchard's music hit.
Oh, absolutely, man.
People would
We're
freak
watching
out.
her right now. She was fantastic at All In. I mean, everything she's been doing lately is fantastic. She's living up to the hype of her last name, too.
And she's blowing it out the water on top. Like, she's not just living up to the hype, she's blowing it out the water. The way she carries herself, the diamond thing, it's great. Her gimmick is great for her. She's owning it and she's embracing it, and that's really...
She's somebody I really want to see in
Chelsea,
NXT.
Same with Chelsea Green right here. She's owning that.
Their gimmicks
crazy,
are just great.
yeah,
Everybody in that match at All In that we're watching right now, they all just killed it.
Right.
There was really good false finishes. Like right here, we're watching that false finish. I mean, they were fantastic.
I thought it was over at that point. That was
I think
crazy.
everybody did. I'm seeing. I haven't actually watched All In since I went to it, and I was in the second row, so I'm actually trying to look if I can see myself.
So, all right, guys. I think that's a good place to end. It's going to be a great Rumble weekend. We are going to get this out by the time the Rumble ends. So, before the Rumble starts. Kind of would be counterproductive if we got it out afterwards. That being said, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. If you tuned into episode 1, thank you to everybody who has watched, who has commented, who has given us criticism or just praise in general. We thank you for that. That being said, we also have to hit the sponsor plug. Would you like to take that one?
Current sponsors include Sports Talk. Everybody should subscribe to Sports Talk on Facebook. Every single week, me and Travis, he posts the thread, and I'm always commenting live during Raw and SmackDown. I'm hoping that, depending on timing for the weekend, we're going to be able to do this live with TakeOver, and we're also going to do it definitely with the Royal Rumble. We really do have fun interacting with everybody, and hopefully we might even put out a live video right after the Rumble, just our reaction videos to the winner. We just want to know what you guys think, too. It really does help us try to pick out things for the show. So, subscribe to Sports Talk on Facebook, and then On the Ropes with Travis Lee. Subscribe to our page, like our videos, watch our videos, and that's about it for our sponsors for now. Hopefully, it's going to be a growing list, I'm feeling.
I've been messing around with Ian, and I'm going for this one because I drink it a lot, and it's a Chicago native thing. Let's get sponsor round 2 here, Malort. Let's do it. Round 2. This is where it's at. That's going to be our second sponsor, hopefully. Even if we just get some free bottles from them, I'll take it.
Free case sounds really nice, yeah.
Like you said, guys, Sports Talk is a weekly thing. We do the threads, so if you do end up joining and you want to be part of those threads, please let myself or Michael know, so that way we can make sure to put you on the list of people who are tagged on all the threads. That being said, this is the end of episode 2. Thank you guys again, and we will see you all next time, motherfuckers.